My husband Horace and I went to the orphanage to adopt a child, but we encountered a car accident and died together. When we opened our eyes again, we were back in 1977, before we confirmed our relationship. This time, he did not confess his feelings and silently put away the bouquet he had prepared. I also tacitly discarded the bracelet he had given me. After the college entrance examination was opened, I studied hard and became the first college student in our village. Horace then turned to pursue his true love. The young lady who once had a crush on him accompanied him as he thrived, starting a company in an era filled with opportunities, going abroad, and achieving fame and fortune. At the class reunion, we met again. He was the center of attention, looking at me and my son, who were dressed simply, with cold mockery. "Helen, have you adopted a child or are you being a stepmother to someone else? What's the point of being reborn if you're still poor and shabby? Unlike me, after leaving you, I became rich and happy, and I have 3 sons. Any one of my sons is 100 times better than your adopted son." I looked at his 3 sons and smiled faintly. Only I know that in my past life, it wasn't me who couldn't have children. Chapter 1. At the class reunion, I sat in the corner with my 6-year-old son, looking down and eating. Unexpectedly, the star of the show, Horace, my husband from my past life, walked towards me. "Helen, long time no see." I looked up in surprise. A plain, unadorned face was exposed before him, yet there was a hint of disdain in Horace's eyes. He glanced at my son beside me and scoffed coldly. "Helen, how dare you adopt a child when you have no money?" No money? Unlike him, I didn't wear a watch or gold necklaces. I only had the wedding ring my husband bought from a state-run jewelry store on my ring finger. My clothes weren't expensive, but they were comfortable, appearing a bit ordinary. "It's none of your business," I said softly. Horace mocked louder. "Helen, you should at least bring your child to our class reunion. With so many people here, you don't even know to tidy up. With a poor mother like you, doesn't your child feel embarrassed?" I couldn't understand why he harbored such malice towards me. After all, we were no longer the resentful couple from our past life. I endured patiently. A child doesn't dislike their mother's appearance. If he dislikes me, then he wouldn't be my child. Seemingly not seeing the expected reaction, Horace became somewhat angry, then smiled triumphantly. "I never had the chance to be a mother before, and now I can only be a stepmother for someone else. How does that feel? It must be very painful and difficult, right? Well, this is how your life will be, but I'm different. I will never suffer again for not being able to have a son. My wife has given me 3 sons. Each one is first in their class, and they have a bright future ahead. Aren't you envious?" I didn't respond. After all, my son is my biological child. Moreover, the person who couldn't have children in my past life was not me at all. "You left me and are still doing so poorly." Horace smirked proudly. "Yet I left you and now have 3 sons. Not only a son, but now I want status and wealth. My life is too good. Do you know about Hong Kong watches? Oh right, I forgot. I heard you've been staying in the village. Probably can't even tell what a watch is, right? I'm kind-hearted. I can open your eyes." After saying that, he rolled up his sleeves, revealing the watch on his wrist. I took a glance at his watch. It was indeed a Hong Kong watch, the most popular one at the moment, worth at least the price of a motorcycle. I have a whole cabinet of such watches at home. They are all children's toys. I looked at Horace again. He was beaming with pride, his face full of smiles, as if he had been reborn. In our past life, we left the village to start a business during an era when even picking up a brick could make one a boss. However, Horace failed in his entrepreneurial ventures time and again, even using my money as capital, and ultimately ended up in debt. We had no children, which led to constant arguments. Unable to bear the pressure from our parents, he said I was worse than a chicken, as even chickens lay eggs. He wanted us to adopt a child from an orphanage, but in the end, we fell apart halfway through. Now, reborn, he has climbed to great heights, soaring into the sky, and it is only right for him to show off. I raised my eyebrows slightly and said, "Congratulations. You have what you wished for." Seeing my emotions stabilize, Horace's smile gradually stiffened, and he asked unwillingly, "Now that you see me as a father and a successful person, don't you feel even a hint of resentment?" I frowned slightly and replied, "Resent what? You are you, and I am I. There's no need to compare, right? We have both been reborn, tacitly keeping our distance from each other, no longer harboring grievances like in our past lives. He lives his life, and I live mine. Why must he make me feel resentful? Does he really think he would be happy seeing me struggle?" At that moment, my son started to shout, shaking my arm in a spoiled manner. "Mom, I want to go home. Romeo wants to sleep." I gently rubbed his fluffy little head and indulgently agreed. "Okay, Mom will take you home." I put down my chopsticks, no longer paying attention to the displeased Horace, and prepared to get up and lead my son away when a familiar voice suddenly came from behind. "Helen, why are you leaving so soon? Is the food not to your taste?" A woman slowly walked towards me, her high heels making a crisp sound. The classmates' gazes were instantly drawn over. Gasps of admiration filled the air. He must be really wealthy. Wearing high heels. Only the women from Hong Kong wear those. Horace has really made it. Not only does he have a motorcycle, but also a four-wheeler. He wears gold and silver, and so does his wife. Of course, his family is the richest in the village. They do business abroad. Who can compare to them? I stared at the beautiful woman's face, my footsteps coming to a halt. She is Clara, Horace's current wife. 10 years ago, Horace and I had to walk more than 10 kilometers from the village to the county every day for school. Clara, on the other hand, lived in the county. Her family was very wealthy, and later her business did even better, so she moved directly to the provincial capital to settle down. She liked the handsome and academically gifted Horace. In his past life, Horace was advised by his best friends in private, saying that I was just a poor girl from the village, while Clara was a wealthy heiress. If only I could have Clara as my girlfriend, I wouldn't have to worry for the rest of my life. In my past life, when Horace rejected me, I was overjoyed, thinking he truly loved me, but later I learned that his rejection of Clara was merely due to his pride. He couldn't stand others saying he was climbing too high or living off someone else's success. He believed he could achieve great things on his own. Yet, a country boy without connections or background couldn't even make a living in the provincial capital. During the 10 years of our marriage in my past life, he hated me even in his dreams, resenting me for blocking his path and regretting that he didn't choose the wealthy and affectionate Clara. So after being reborn, he immediately got together with Clara. Clara was wearing exquisite makeup, a body-hugging dress, her hair curled, and her lips painted bright red. Like a movie star in a cinema, her gaze swept up and down my body, and she smiled smugly. "Helen, long time no see." I was wearing a floral dress and had my hair in braids. Aside from my pretty face, nothing else matched the term exquisite. I nodded slightly at her. "The child needs to sleep. We should go home." "Excuse us. Why are you in such a hurry to leave?" Clara leaned down, smiling as she pinched my son's cheek. "He's quite good-looking. Little one. Call me Auntie." My son's face instantly turned red, enough to prove Clara was using too much force. I suddenly felt a tightness in my chest, shook off her hand, and protected my son behind me. "What are you doing?" Clara was hit by me and laughed in anger. "Is he really that precious? Looking at your shabby appearance, it seems you didn't marry well. Do you think your son is a golden nugget that can't be touched?" I didn't want to waste words with her and took my son's hand to leave. But the next second, Clara's angry shout suddenly came again. "You bad child. How dare you spill the wine glass on my bag? Do you know that your dad and mom have worked their whole lives and still can't afford my bag?" Wow. In a fit of rage, Clara started cursing, scaring Romeo to tears. If I hadn't tightly protected Romeo behind me, she would have tried to push him. My eyes suddenly filled with coldness. After 1 or 2 times, I no longer thought that Clara was being unintentional. At that moment, Horace ran over in a few steps, forcefully pushing me away and accusing me. "Helen, I didn't expect that after all these years. Your temper is still so big. I know being a stepmother is difficult, But you can't just ignore everything, can you? How dare you argue with my wife? Do you have no shame? No sense of reason? I scoffed. Romeo is only a few years old. How could that little guy reach Clara's wine glass? Besides, it was just a matter of dirtying a bag. It's not an exaggeration. With the style that Clara is carrying, I have much more high-end ones at home. It was truly my son's accident. I can compensate for it. I was just about to speak when Romeo bravely stepped in front of me, his trembling voice loudly declaring, "I'm sorry, Auntie. It's my fault. I apologize to you. But you can't bully my mom." I bent down and held the child tightly, saying, "It's okay, Romeo. Mommy will handle it." Horace glanced at Romeo, then looked at me and smiled. "I think I've figured it out. Helen, you live an ordinary life, dress ordinarily, and your home doesn't even have a basic bicycle, right? You wear styles from the mainland that are a few years old, and they're not fashionable. Honestly, are you jealous that I didn't accept your confession back then and chose to be with my current wife instead? You see us living well, so you let your son cause trouble?" A few words suddenly revealed the secrets of that year. 10 years ago, men and women could freely fall in love, but they were still shy and subtle. These classmates were also not very clear. Now hearing Horace's words, everyone suddenly imagined a storyline. One of the chubby short-haired women said with an accent, "I say, Helen, even if you like Horace, it's been so long. He already has 3 kids. Are you still so dark-hearted as to interfere with his family?" "Exactly," someone next to her echoed. "One shouldn't be like that. It's too cruel. If she's bad, that's one thing. But her son will also be led astray. What good can come from a mouse raised by a mouse?" Around me, accusations rose and fell, and what everyone said became increasingly absurd. My expression finally darkened. I can tolerate being scolded, but when it comes to my son, I absolutely cannot accept it. I protected my son and said sternly, "First, I am not familiar with this couple. I haven't seen anyone in 10 years who would be in the mood to be jealous. It's utterly ridiculous to say so, especially Ms. By. As a mother yourself, don't you feel ashamed to bully a child? Second, my son may have accidentally bumped into your wine glass while walking, but it was certainly not intentional. He has already apologized to you, and I can offer compensation from my side. Just name a number." Clara immediately became displeased. "Helen, why do you think of me this way? It sounds like I'm bullying your child. The bag is indeed dirty, and I earned that money through hard work, so it can't just be soiled for no reason. I know that your family definitely doesn't have the ability to repay, so I never intended to make you compensate. But Helen, back then Horace chose me instead of you. Do you really hold a grudge against me?" I was speechless. Why would I hold a grudge? Clara proudly lifted her chin. "With the help of our family, Horace has successfully immigrated and even started a company abroad, expanding his business to the domestic market. He has money and is handsome, which is something that cannot be sought after. Of course you would be jealous of me." I was simply infuriated to the point of laughter. "Well, you think too much. I believe you two are a match made in heaven, and you must live well together." Horace, upon hearing this, was even more convinced that I envied their family. He laughed and said, "Of course we are happy. I have 3 sons, while you are just a hen that cannot lay eggs. Whether you become a stepmother or adopt children, what success can you achieve by following you? And your child looks a bit slow. He can't be mentally challenged, can he? TSK. He really can't compare to my 3 sons." Just then, Clara smugly mocked, "Helen, you really are something. Even if you can't give birth, there's no need to adopt. Doesn't your husband think of it as a bastard child? How can he tolerate you?" I finally couldn't hold back any longer and stormed over to them, slapping the pair of scoundrels twice. The slaps were loud and heavy. "I've tolerated you long enough. Your son is the real bastard. Get lost." Chapter 2. After I finished scolding them, Clara and Horace were both stunned. They never expected that I would dare to take action directly. And I didn't just hit one, but 2 of them. Clara quickly reacted, covering her face, and even forgot to maintain her elegant and delicate facade. shouting without any grace, "Helen, you shameless woman. How dare you hit me? Are you tired of living? Hitting you is hitting you. Do I need to check the time?" I let out a cold laugh. As soon as I finished speaking, Horace rushed over quickly, not only trying to shield Clara behind him but also attempting to come at me, but I dodged quickly, and he only managed to push me with a misstep. I stumbled, but fortunately, I was supported by a fat woman. Even Romeo insisted on standing in front of me, as if to help block Horace's aggressive actions. "You can't bully my mom." At this moment, the fat woman also stepped forward at the right time and advised, "We are all classmates. Let's not ruin the harmony." Others also persuaded, "Yes, safety is the most important. Don't you know that the security is very strict now? This is not a joke. Damn it. Did I let you speak?" Horace gritted his teeth and pointed at the slap mark on his face. "You all better look clearly. Who started it first?" After saying that, he looked at me again, his eyes filled with an undeniable ferocity. "Damn it, Helen, am I not giving you face? You dare to hit me? You even hit my wife and insult my son as a bastard? Are you trying to end up in prison?" I sneered repeatedly. "You and your wife insult my son, scaring him so much that he can't even speak. Go ahead and call the police. I want to see who they will side with. Since the other party has no shame, I have no need to be overly moral. After my past life, I know Horace too well. He is exactly the kind of person who takes advantage of others. What should I do about the bag my wife damaged?" Horace let out a cold snort. Clara quickly added, "So, what about my bag? This is French goods. Do you know France? You can't even buy this in the country." I didn't even look at the bag. The impression I just got was enough for me to understand its quality, and I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. "Clara, this is extortion." But I just said, "Don't worry, whether the bag was dirted by my son or not, I will compensate you. Just consider it a chance for you to see the world, even the slap just now. I will compensate for it. But similarly, you scared my son and pushed me. I will also sue for these." In this day and age, suing is still a novel concept. Most people do not have the awareness to sue. So after I finished speaking, Clara laughed mockingly. "You country bumpkin actually know about suing? Is suing something a person like you can do? If you don't have money to compensate, just say you don't have money. Helen, we are old classmates. Why do you still care about face? Insisting on saying something like suing to scare us?" She laughed heartily. "Scare?" I coldly smiled and impatiently said, "Give me the payment account." "Helen, do you know why I can't stand you? It's because of your stubborn temper." Horace scolded. "This package starts at 300,000. Can you earn that much money in your lifetime? Don't even talk about earning it. Have you ever seen this kind of money?" Clara chimed in. I had completely lost my patience. "I warn you. I'll say it one last time. Give me the account number, or I won't just refuse to compensate, but I will also continue to sue." Clara glanced at me disdainfully, convinced that I was just pretending to be generous and saving face. "Helen, how old are you? You should really think about it. You were adopted, and if you owe so much money, won't your husband just kick you out? You have no figure, no looks, and you can't have children. With all this debt, why would he still want you?" "Account," I said impatiently. "I think you are like a dog biting Lu Dongbin, unable to recognize a good person's heart." Horace scolded. Clara covered her mouth and laughed. "Since you insist on being ungrateful, then we won't hold back." She could already imagine the embarrassment and shame I would feel when I couldn't pay the money later. "I really want to see if you have the money to pay." These days, large transfers still require going to the bank in person, so Clara has always complained about how backward the domestic payment methods are. Therefore, when she saw that I wasn't planning to go to the bank, she was already convinced that I definitely hadn't made any large payments. Not only her, but Horace and others also thought I was just putting on a brave face. But what she doesn't know is that once you have a large deposit in a certain bank, you don't need to go in person. A phone call can solve everything. So, I made a call in front of everyone. When I took out the square bag phone, everyone looked surprised. After all, in this day and age, Having a bag phone is not a symbol of wealth. But Clara let out a disdainful snort. Maybe it's borrowed. Whether it's borrowed or not, a bag phone only costs over 10,000. Is that a lot? Horace couldn't help but take out his and show off a bit. This successfully attracted everyone's attention. I didn't pay attention, just focused on answering the phone. The person on the other end asked me to enter the password. This instead left me stunned. After all, after so many years of marriage, I hadn't really touched the money on this card. I have never personally paid for anything, so I really forgot this password. As a result, I entered it incorrectly twice in a row. The sound of the bag phone was very loud, and soon everyone heard the prompt for the incorrect password. It made Clara cover her mouth and laugh. Oh dear, Helen, you know we are classmates, and it's not like we don't know your rural background. If you don't have money, just say so. Can we really force you? Isn't it embarrassing to pretend to be rich? Horace also said. I was completely speechless. The password is unnecessary. I don't remember it. Is this hard to understand? I retorted. The result was a burst of laughter from the entire room, especially from Clara, whose gaze seemed to openly express disdain. Others were whispering among themselves, speculating about where I got this bag phone. I thought you were really wealthy, but it turns out you're just pretending. Wealthy? That's 300,000. It was only a few years ago that there were 10,000 yuan households. I could never see that much money in my lifetime, let alone take it out. Yeah, just because you have a bag phone, does that really mean you can pull out 300,000? What a joke! All right, Helen, have you had enough of the fuss? Clara mocked. Do you even have any money? Has the money been transferred to our account? Should I have Horace stay at the bank to check the accounts? I was completely at a loss. How about this? You wait here, and I'll call someone to take it out and deliver the cash to you. I shrugged my shoulders. Forgetting the password wasn't my fault. Cash? Clara let out a sneer. Do you really have that much money? Still wanting cash? Don't make a fool of yourself. How about this? If you don't have to pay, I won't blame you for not being able to produce it. Clara smirked slyly. You and your son kneel down and bow to me, and this matter will be considered settled. How is it? Clara raised an eyebrow and asked. Horace also chuckled as he looked at me. Kneel down. This is all your own doing. The others also seemed to be enjoying the show. If kneeling down can earn 300,000, I would kneel too. Just as everyone was laughing together, in the next moment, a sudden commotion came from the entrance hall. A familiar and dignified voice rang out. Who are you asking to kneel? Chapter 3. Victor walked in slowly. The crowd naturally parted to make way. He was followed by a group of people. Apart from his secretary, he was also accompanied by the manager of the restaurant. Victor stood nearly 6 feet tall, dressed in a dark suit, with a pocket watch on his chest, exuding an air of immense nobility. In this era filled with mediocrity, he was naturally enough to astonish everyone. The crowd erupted in a stir, and even Clara noticed this man at a glance. It's Mr. Fu. Aw, do you know him? Are you silly? I attended the National Business Charity event with my uncle 2 years ago, and Mr. Fu was sitting in the front row. Of course I've seen him. National Business Association? Why would such a big shot come here? Since it was a private box, everyone naturally had doubts when such a big shot barged in. However, in the next second, these people had already widened their eyes. I saw the incredibly distinguished Victor actually bypass the crowd and come straight to me. How could he not notice my unusualness? He frowned slightly and first reassured me. What's wrong? About this question, both Clara and Horace thought it was directed at them. Moreover, since they were indeed aware of the situation in the country, they naturally wanted to get close to Victor, this big shot. Then the entire market would open up immediately. Therefore Horace quickly explained, his stature slightly diminished. Mr. Fu, I've heard so much about you. It's truly an honor. Actually, it was just a small matter that made you laugh. Clara intentionally wanted to assert her presence and couldn't stand the feeling of her husband being looked down upon. So she deliberately said, the bag I bought in France was ruined by this woman. I'm not an unreasonable person. I was ready to let it go. But she insisted on compensation, slapped us twice, and even said she would sue us. Isn't that unreasonable? Since this shameless woman is being unreasonable, I have no need to show her mercy. If she kneels down, I can let her off the hook without making her pay $300,000. Such a good opportunity, and she is still hesitating. Phoo. What do you think this is? Hearing this, Victor suddenly laughed and turned to ask me, I didn't know you had a hobby of getting your hands dirty? His words carried an indescribable familiarity. It wasn't a reproach, but rather a mix of surprise and delight because after so many years of life, he had seen this side of me. A discerning person could easily tell that something was off. Only Clara seemed to be certain that someone like me could never have contact with someone like Victor. So she kept slandering me. Phoo, you don't know. In poor mountains and bad waters, you find cunning people. A country girl like her has never seen $300,000 in her life. Yet she is so stubborn that she won't even apologize. As such a cultured person, someone who has received an education abroad, I can't stand it any longer. She is simply jealous of me. Jealous that my husband chose me. And she's jealous that I have money. Money to buy such an expensive bag. As Clara kept talking, Victor's expression grew darker. I also shrank back a little. I knew that something was definitely going to happen now. Sure enough, the next second, Victor calmly yet discontentedly asked me, Are you jealous that she has money? Jealous that her husband didn't choose you? In this tone, there is also a subtle sense of grievance. I was completely at a loss. I didn't expect this matter to remain unresolved. I have to comfort Victor again tonight. An unfounded accusation. I tried to explain. Hearing a satisfactory answer, Victor nodded, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth as he scrutinized Horace. With looks like that and such abilities, I believe what you said is true. As soon as those words were spoken, Horace's face turned a deep shade of liver. Clara too. No one expected that Victor would actually speak up for me. This country girl, and yet you have degraded Horace like this. Phoo zone. On what basis do you say such things about my husband? Are you perhaps interested in this country bumpkin? What qualities does she have? She's just from the countryside. She hasn't even been out of the country. Clara implied that she was flaunting her experience studying abroad, but Victor wasn't buying any of it. My grandfather was a soldier, and my great-grandfather was also an excellent soldier. So I love my country, and our citizens shouldn't feel inferior just because they haven't been abroad. However, there's one more thing. I think you might be mistaken. She may have been abroad after all. Victor is right. We just returned from vacation in Hawaii last year. I experienced a new type of aircraft. So I have been abroad, but I just don't want to explain it to them. After all, I have been deeply influenced by the Fu family and have great respect for the construction of my homeland. Having been abroad should not be something I flaunt. As long as Victor understands me, that's enough. After all, no one would expect that the well-known Fu family in the country, and Victor would get married so early, and his wife is just an ordinary girl from the countryside. Originally, in this second chance at life, I was filled with disappointment regarding marriage. After all, what Horace did in our marriage in the last life caused me a great deal of pain. Both the process and the ending were too painful. Therefore, I became disillusioned with men as well. But Victor reignited my love. He is not the type to shower me with sweet words every day, but he always considers my struggles and understands my helplessness in every word, as well as my unspoken pride. Under the pursuit of such a man, I still fell. It turns out there are normal men in this world. They can be indifferent to their offspring, and they won't blame their emotions on their loved ones. They also won't look down on me just because I'm a girl from the countryside. It turns out that marriage isn't terrifying. It's walking into marriage with the wrong person that is the most terrifying. So, I gave him a chance, and I gave myself a chance. This is the beginning of me and him. So now it's you who has to pay? Victor suddenly asked me. I nodded. You can send someone to collect it. I've forgotten the password and can't pay it off, which is quite embarrassing. Victor nodded after listening, without saying that he could directly transfer the money over the phone, and without refuting anything I said. He simply instructed his secretary to find someone to withdraw $300,000 in cash. Seeing this operation, Everyone was stunned, especially Clara. She originally wanted to mock me, but ended up speechless. Fu Zong, regarding our matter, asking you to pay. How can I feel good about that? Horace thought that Victor was trying to resolve this matter out of respect for him. But unexpectedly, the latter didn't even respond to his words. A hint of embarrassment suddenly appeared on Horace's face. Clara bitterly mocked, saying, Helen really knows how to seduce people. Every man has to be charmed by you. Fu, it's just that she's kinder at heart and doesn't want us to look bad. Do you really think it's because of you? Or do you want to shamelessly accept it? Clara was clearly upset. She couldn't understand why a simple country girl could attract someone like Victor as help. Chapter 4. Stop talking nonsense. The money has already been taken. Victor's voice, though not loud, was enough for everyone to hear and left no room for doubt. Clara and Horace heard the sentence and naturally did not dare to refute it, only able to feel secretly angry in their hearts. Before long, the secretary and bodyguard arrived carrying the money. Several bags of cash were placed directly on the ground. Clara still had a look of disbelief. Fu Zong, just a country girl. Do you really need to offer 300,000? You should know, this price was what she was asking for in the sky. As soon as the words fell, Victor's displeasure was evident in his eyes. I warn you, if you dare to offend my lover again, I will definitely pursue additional legal responsibility against you. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room was stunned. No one reacted to this statement. As a result, Victor walked directly to my son and me. I forgot to introduce. This is my partner and son. Everyone was shocked once again. Clara and Horace were completely at a loss for words. Standing there in a daze, they originally wanted to show off to me, but ended up being shocked instead. I never expected that I was already in a different tier. Just moments ago, I had mocked and humiliated his wife. Yet here I was, fawning over Victor like a lapdog. The two of them instantly felt utterly embarrassed. The direction of public opinion has also changed. Everyone thinks my temper is too good, and they all want to greet me, unable to bear the disparity. Clara's eyes instantly filled with tears. She looked at Horace, hoping he would comfort her, but Horace kept looking at me and completely ignored her. In the face of his gaze, I appeared unfazed. Horace's eyes revealed anger, yet I found it very difficult to understand. Doesn't he already have everything he wants? I don't want to pay attention, but Victor looked at me with warning in his eyes. Mr. Horace, please be more respectful. Very rude. Horace could only bow and smile obsequiously, then left with Clara looking dejected, but not before casting a deep glance at me. Just because of that glance, I suffered greatly. In bed, Victor questioned me repeatedly with jealousy. He can't possibly like you, right? No way, I replied firmly. Horace simply didn't expect me to be doing so well. Even more unexpected was that it was after leaving him. He thinks I should live a miserable life, suffering for a lifetime, but reality is exactly the opposite. Chapter 5. The next morning, on my way to send my son to school, I ran into Horace. It turns out he has moved back to his home country with his family, and his 3 children are also attending school here. Horace looked at me and said, "Let's chat for a bit." I did not refuse. Finding a place to sit these days is not easy, so we went to sit on a bench in the park. Horace opened with a line that stunned me. Helen, I know you must not have forgotten me. What do you want to say? Horace continued talking to himself, starting to fall into some kind of memory. In the last life, we endured all kinds of hardships. Just when life was finally getting better, I wanted a son. Why can't you give birth? Do you know how many times I've blamed you? Back then, I vowed that if I could start over, I would definitely have a different life. I nodded in agreement. I can understand, because in the last life, both of us suffered. That kind of pain still sends chills down my spine when I think about it now. We died too early in the last life. If we could adopt a child like we can now, it would be so happy, Horace murmured. Ha, I chuckled lightly. I never said that my child was adopted. What? Horace was startled on the spot, somewhat in disbelief, but quickly suppressed it. Impossible. You are lying. You are deceiving me. You can't possibly give birth to a child. I paused and said, in my last life, I checked. It was you who couldn't give birth, not me. Impossible. Horace interrupted me quickly. I have 3 sons. How could I not be able to give birth? The child is mine. Horace became more and more agitated. I just listened quietly, and finally sighed. Horace, actually I knew about this matter in my last life. I didn't let you see the medical report from back then. I helped you hide the fact that you can't have children. Before I could finish speaking, I was interrupted by Horace. How could I not be able to have children with my 3 sons? They are my biological sons. Perhaps. I smiled compassionately. Chapter 6. After the conversation ended, Horace went to the hospital. The words on the report deeply pierced him. However, this was still not enough to convince him. He immediately went for another paternity test. Hello, Xiao Ming. At the moment he got the answer, Horace completely went mad. He never expected that all of this was actually a lie. Thus, Horace launched a frenzied revenge. Not only did he tamper with the food of the elderly couple and by family, causing them to fall seriously ill, but he also employed various schemes to ensure that Clara ended up with a shell company. All the real money was transferred overseas. Clara was burdened with a mountain of debt and, along with her 3 sons, was kicked out of the house. In the end, Clara had no choice but to work in the red light district to support herself. Not long after, she contracted a virus and, in a desperate situation, took a knife and ended her life along with Horace. You are the man who can't have children. I didn't force you to marry me, nor did I make you take me in. Everything was your choice. You are only after our family's money. What right do you have to blame me? In the final moment before death, Horace finally understood. It turns out that everything is not someone else's fault. Everything was his choice. It's just that he always habitually blames others. Blamed Helen. Everything is what he deserves. He doesn't deserve Helen's wholehearted love. The next time I heard the name Horace was in a news report. Clara chose to perish with Horace. And before that, she also pushed her own son down the stairs. Everything has completely returned to dust. When I heard this, I still sighed softly. Life. Ah. Just when I was filled with emotion, Victor came over and hugged me from behind. Why are you suddenly in a bad mood? He is very perceptive, but I shook my head. Looking at my son playing in the garden, I am very happy. In the future, I will be even happier.